Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to Unity Orlando. Our opening statement this morning is, God is my help in every need, and I am provided for abundantly. Let's all affirm that together. God is my help in every need, and I am provided for abundantly. All right, let's all close our eyes, take a nice deep breath in. Let's affirm that together in the silence. And so it is. And now if you'd like to stand and help us sing our joy song this morning, it's called Welcome to My Heaven. Welcome to my heaven. Welcome to my home, where we can feel love and safety there. Welcome to my heaven. Journey to my spirit, journey to my soul, a place I feel love and cared for there. Welcome to my heaven. Now is the infinite moment. Now is forever in thee. Alpha and Omega, beginning without end. Peace, love, and courage we send. Welcome to my heaven. Welcome to my home, where we can feel soothed and nurtured there. Welcome to my home. Welcome to my heaven. Welcome to my heaven. All right, thank you. You may be seated.
Good morning, Unity Orlando. How's everybody doing today? Great to see your faces. And welcome online. I'm Susan Francis. I'm your platform speaker today. Do we have any visitors? I don't think so. We're all family. A couple of announcements. Today, we want to recognize International Widows Day. And we want to remind you that Unity Orlando has a widow and widowers spiritual support group on Zoom every Monday evening. So if you're interested, you can contact Linda at the office or contact me, and we can get you situated. Paul Kenny is the facilitator for that group. Also, prayer chaplains are available to pray with you every Sunday after each church service. I'm a prayer chaplain today, and Paul is one for this morning. And then, of course, we'll have different ones in the afternoon. Also, a reminder that we pray every evening at 8 p.m., and we invite you to join us. This month's affirmation is, I envision good unfolding in every area of my life. A reminder that Unity Orlando is having an indoor picnic on July 7th. There will be hamburgers and hot dogs and a vegetarian option. Tickets are $5 in advance or $7 at the door. And you can see Carol Weldy for more information and to purchase tickets if you'd like. Also, Reverend Lulu is starting a new book class. It's called The Art of Abundance. This is what the book looks like. It's got a bowl of cherries. Life is a bowl of cherries. And there's a flyer about the class on the credenza if you're interested. Today, Reverend Bob's lesson is the power of affirmation. But before I turn it over to Brian, I have a little story to tell you. So there was some sad news from Minnesota, unfortunately. The Pillsbury Doughboy died yesterday of a yeast infection. And also, he had trauma and complications from repeated pokes in the belly. He was 75 years old. Dozens of celebrities turned out to pay their respects, including Mrs. Butterworth, Hungry Jack, and the California Raisins. Betty Crocker, the Hostess Twinkies, and Captain Crunch were all there. The gravesite was piled high with many flowers, F-L-O-U-R-S. Aunt Jemima delivered the eulogy and lovingly described Doughboy as a man who never knew how much he was needed, with a K. Born and bred in Minnesota, Doughboy rose quickly in show business, but later his life was filled with turnovers. He was not considered a very smart cookie and wasted much of his dough on half-baked schemes. Despite being a little flaky at times, he was still a crusty old man and was considered a positive role model for millions. Doughboy is survived by his wife, Play-Doh, 3 children, John Doe, Jane Doe, and Dozy Doe, plus they had one in the oven. He is also survived by his elderly father, Pop-Tart. The funeral was held at 3:50 for about 20 minutes. And if you smiled while listening to this, please rise to the occasion and pass it on to someone having a crummy day and needing a lift. Okay, and with that, I'm going to turn it over to Brian.
Let's butter her up. She's on a roll. Is that how you make your dough? Anyway, it's the yeast you can do, right? Oh my, don't start that with me. All right, so we have a song here. It's full of positive affirmations, and it wasn't just written by me, like all the other songs. We all took a turn writing verses in this song. Yeah. And even Reverend Ronnie had a verse in this one. And my son actually wrote the last one. So I thought that was pretty cool when he was just a little squirt, 13 years old. So it's called My Mantra. 2, 3, 4. Works out for me. Breathe, it always works out for me. Breathe, we always get what we give. Breathe, we always get what we give. God peace, and joy. Breathe love, peace, and joy. Breathe together we are one. Breathe together we are one. Breathe together we are one. Breathe together we are one.
Oh, that was wonderful. That was beautiful. I really love the way that one flows. How is everyone today? Do you realize we're on the back end of June? Is this year not flying by? It's going really fast. Okay, I better get started. I've got lots of notes. Hopefully that means I have something to say. Good to see you all at home. I'm glad you're with us. Good to see all of you who are here. Okay, I'm going to start off and get myself in trouble right up front. This week, Patty asked me, this is why I'm going to be in trouble. She said, "What's your title this week? What are you working on?" And I said, "The Power of Affirmation." And she immediately came back with that impish smile on her face. "Are you going to make us say 100 affirmations this week?" I said, "No." And she said, 75? She knows me well. That's what she said. In any case, to clear that up for anyone who's wondering about that, no. Today, what I really want to do is not do a bunch of affirmations as much as discuss how to use that spiritual tool that we call affirmation. First, as a beginner, because everyone starts off their spiritual path with affirmations. But then just when you think, I've outgrown affirmation, as a deeper spiritual adept, you begin to realize it's time to pick it up again on a whole deeper level as the power statement. Affirmation is a spiritual prayer statement that declares a perfect spiritual truth is fulfilled in your life, even in the face of physical appearance to the contrary. It's a tool for giving faith an outlet into the reality of your life, okay? It's a tool of focus. I am healed and whole and feel good all over. And you're probably saying that when maybe your physical body doesn't really reflect that quite yet. I live in the midst of God's abundance and I am divinely prospered. And that's when you're being beset by lack, by the fear of lack. God is in charge and some good must come out of this when everything seems to go wrong. What we are doing is declaring the spiritual reality in the midst of the appearance of physical chaos. Okay? And declaring this prayer thought over and over helps to establish a new belief system that's connected to demonstrating God's good in your life. So, your affirmations are meant to connect your life vision to God's good, rather than the old negative belief system, which centers on darkness, or if anything can go wrong, it will. Do you know that things are going to work out? Or do you know that if anything can go wrong, it will? Because Jesus made it very clear, be it done to you according to your faith. What you know, your basic attitude, is very important in how your life unfolds. Now, some people have come to me and asked me to create an affirmation for them. I always rankle at this idea because I think your affirmation ought to be personal to you. You can borrow words from all over. One of my very personal affirmations is the prayer of protection, and I certainly didn't write it. I do know the author, or I did. He's passed. You can pull it out of Scripture, or you can make it up in your own words. The important thing is that you feel a connection to it, that it means something to you. So here's the bottom line. I often feel that when people ask me to come up with an affirmation for them, I'll do it in my words. But those are not magic words. It isn't better because I came up with it. It's probably better if you come up with it. You know, there's an old saying, if you give a man a fish, you help him momentarily. If you teach a man to fish, you help him for his whole life. The same is true with affirmation. We read our old Unity books, and they all had affirmations in them. But at some point, we learn to make up our own. Because as you're looking down that path towards where you want to go, your affirmation is just a container for focus on the spiritual reality that you want to create in your life. So, it's not the words. It's the inner energies that the words represent, that they sort of cover up. When I was out in ministerial school, let's put it that way, I had the chance to hear a lecture by the Reverend Johnny Coleman. Johnny, at that time, was in charge of what was the largest, primarily black church in Chicago, in the movement. She was in Chicago, and it was the largest, primarily black church in the movement. She was a force to be dealt with. And during the talk that I heard, she mentioned an experience she'd had in the early days. In the early days, she went to Chicago and she founded this church, opened it up in a little tiny storefront, and lived about 10 blocks away. And believe me, this was not the best section of town. But she would walk, members of her congregation had offered to drive her to church every day. No, I'm going to walk to church. And she walked to church every day through one of the roughest sections of town. Now, it is of note, she had an affirmation that was her favorite one for protection. She actually took it from the 91st Psalm, the 4th verse. Said, you can use anything. With affirmations, you're definitely allowed to plagiarize. But you got to make it your own. So, 91st Psalm, verse 4 says, he will cover you with his feathers, and under his wings you shall trust. And she would say this over and over. This was one of her favorite verses, and it kept her focused on the protecting power of spirit. One day she was walking from her apartment to the little storefront church. She was getting going. And she's walking down the street, and some hoodlum comes running along and grabs her purse. Now, we have an interesting incident because she didn't immediately let go of that purse. So we have the guy on one side yanking, and we have her on the other hanging on. And they had like this tug of war for a little while. And she's thinking, I need to know that God is protecting me, and I need to say my thing. But she was so flustered by what was going on that she couldn't remember all the words. And so she just looked him straight in the eyes and said, I am covered with feathers. And his eyes went wide. And he threw that purse back at her and ran screaming. It's not the words. It's the energy behind them that matters. In Matthew 15:11, Jesus said, it is not what enters into the mouth that defiles a man, but what comes out of the mouth, that is what defiles a man. You know, many of the Jewish leaders observed these very strict dietary rules, and that was part of their religion, and they knew they were being really spiritual when they did that. And he's pointing out this outer behavior, or, what you eat is not nearly as important to your spiritual evolution as what you say. Your words matter. How often have you heard you say, I'm just talking? Yeah, you're just creating your life. Is that what you're just doing, creating your life? In Matthew 12:35 and 37. A good man, this is Jesus speaking, a good man brings out good things from the good treasures, some say from the treasures of his heart, okay? A good man brings out good things from good treasures, and a bad man brings out bad things from bad treasures. For by your words you shall be justified, and by your words you shall be found guilty. Positive words form a positive belief system and create positive results in your life. Negative words creates a negative belief system and create negative results in your life. By your words you shall be justified, and by your words you shall be found guilty. Now, I want to take it another direction here for a second and talk about how Jesus used speaking the word. We're talking about just trying to keep your words as positive as possible. But Jesus used the word powerfully. In Mark 4:37 through 39, there arose a heavy storm and wind, and the waves kept beating into the boat, so that the boat was nearly filled. But Jesus was sleeping on a blanket in the stern of the boat. And the disciples came and roused him. So he got up, and he rebuked the wind, and said to the sea, "Peace, be still." And the wind quieted down, and there was a great calm. Jesus knew how to speak words of spiritual truth with power. And if you're following in his footsteps, eventually, you'll need to learn to do that too. Now notice in this story, Jesus was asleep in the boat. This is symbolic of what's going on inside of us. The real power is not in this outer personality, which would love to claim it. The real power is in the Christ Spirit within you, that higher self. The real power is not in the personality. It's locked in your soul, that part of you that's eternal. And quite frankly, if you want to take command of a situation, you have to wake Jesus up in the stern of the boat. You've got to go in and touch your soul. Touch that Christ Spirit within and speak the words from there. That's called a power statement. A couple of stories, both from ministerial school. That was in the middle of ministerial school. This one's from the very beginning. I arrived out at Unity Village to go to ministerial school. I had just turned 21. And I was there a week before classes started, and so were a number of the ministerial students. And so Eric Butterworth, the Reverend Eric Butterworth, was doing a retreat at Unity Village. And because we were ministerial students, they let us crash the party and come to some of his lectures. And I went that evening to hear Eric Butterworth, and I heard something that has stuck with me the rest of my life. He said, there are two types of affirmation. There's the programming statement, and there's the power statement. The objective of one, the programming, is to put something into your subconscious, to put positive thoughts into your basic belief system, into the basic consciousness you're walking around in. And the object of the power statement is not to put something in, but to call something out from the very depths of your soul. That's where the power statement comes from. So, my experience is on your spiritual journey, you're going to need both. The beginner starts with affirmations. It's the one thing we can wrap our head around when we're first starting, you know. We can take this affirmation of truth and use it over and over until we begin to actually come from that state of mind, you might say. And we depend on repetition to slowly but surely change what has probably been a relatively negative consciousness into a positive consciousness, so we can change our lives for the better. And somewhere along the line, we move more into meditation and further away from affirmation. And we begin to think that affirmation was only for beginners. But on down this road, you remember the story of Jesus speaking to the wind and the waves. And you realize there's a whole different level. And the advanced student begins to take up that second version that Eric pointed out, to approach the power statement. Where are we? The power statement that calls forth the Christ energies locked in your soul. And calling the divine energies out of your soul. That becomes the purpose of your affirmation, your prayer thought. Its purpose has always been around just creating a vehicle for focus on a spiritual reality that you're trying to demonstrate in your life. The difference is, are you trying to put it into your subconscious, Or are you drawing the basic energy of this straight out of your soul? That's where the real power is. But let's talk about creating a positive subconscious approach to life. Your subconscious expectation of life greatly affects how things will turn out for you. Jesus said it really clearly. Be it done to you according to your faith. Your faith is what you know. What do you know? Do you know everything's falling apart? Do you know that everything, if something can go wrong, it will? Or do you know that things always work out? What do you know? Because in the end, that's probably what you'll experience in your life. Be it done to you according to your faith. Well, just this week, Lindsay came over and spent the night. They're in Vero. They're just selling their house in San Antonio, and then they'll find a house in Orlando, and she's already working in Orlando. So in either case, she had an event where she works at UCF, but she had an event that was up in Lake Mary, and since I live in Longwood, right next to it, she said, can I spend the night at your place? So she came over and we talked. And we were talking about the things she's up against with selling the house and trying to get into the new house and all of this. And I just turned to her at one point and said, Lindsay, you live a charmed life. It'll work out for you. And she turned to me and she said, you have always told me that since I was a little girl. And I grew up believing it. And now I'm telling my own daughter this because I believe that believing this makes a huge difference in how you live your life. Creating that positive subconscious attitude toward life. So I'm going to suggest you look at your negative beliefs, and we all got them. I don't care how advanced you get, you still got some negative beliefs hanging around in there. You know, it's kind of like whack-a-mole, right? I got rid of that one. Oops, another one to deal with. I'm going to keep whacking. Well, I suggest you keep the game up. Look at your negative beliefs and create a positive prayer statement that embodies the higher vision you have for your life. Remember, your life doesn't physically have to show it yet. This is embracing the spiritual reality even when the physical reality says things to the contrary. So, what's that mean? It can be as simple as embracing the idea things always work out for me. Been around, you've heard me tell this story of, I picked up my friend, you are off grid. Your cell phone won't even work. It's the only way he could get away from work. And he had all these major issues going on at work. And he got off and he described something. And he said, yeah, and then it worked out like this. And I said, Neil, things always work out for you. And he went, you know, you're right. Things always work out for me. And that became the theme for the whole time we spent together. We kept saying, things always work out for me. And the more we said it, the more they did. It was amazing, absolutely amazing. Now, so as he got back to work, there's lots of distractions in life, and you can be taken away from this attitude. And so it was later I texted him after he's saying, boy, this is going on and that's going on. I said, don't worry, Neil. Things always work out for you. And he said, thanks for that reminder. I needed to hear that again. That's what affirmations are all about. So, You say, okay, then things always work out for me. You can find them anywhere. I like the affirmation in that movie, The Best Exotic Marigold Hotel. He says, it will all be good in the end. If it's not good, it's not the end. I like that. Because there's times in our life when it's not good. And we need to know it'll all be good in the end. If it's not good, hey, it ain't over. There's more to go. These affirmations create a positive belief system that reverberates through your life. So you're going to want to use them when you're faced with fear. When you're faced with fear, you want to create a higher belief system and embrace a higher reality. Even science these days is saying you live in multiple realities. I love the fact that science and spirit and spiritual path they're colliding. So the bottom line is we want to embrace a higher reality, and it is possible. So we're going to declare things like God is in charge of my life when everything's going to garbage. God is my source, and I am prospered when we're not so sure. It's all in divine order when all we can see is chaos. Or there will be enough. When you're Jesus standing there with a few loaves and fishes ready to feed 5,000 people, you need to know there will be enough. Or God is healing me now. And you're going to repeat it over and over until you can begin to feel the energy behind the words. No prayer has magic words. There are magic energies inside of you that the prayer is drawing out. So, I know a number of people who have had dramatic healings in their life. And in each case, the one thing they had in common is they knew they were being healed before their bodies showed it. And the same is true for those who've been prospered. They had to know that God was the source, and that all that they needed was coming to them. They had to live in that spiritual reality before it would fully manifest in their outer lives. An affirmation, it's just the first step in embracing a higher reality. I used to create an affirmation for the year. I decided, I told you in years past I've told you that I spent 7 years working on my heart. Originally, I was a head person. I had a lot of work to do. It opened up a world to never be exhausted. Your heart, if someone says, oh, my heart's open, been there, done that, they don't know what they're talking about. The heart is such a huge realm that no one could ever exhaust exploring it. That's how phenomenal it is. But, okay, so as I went on through the years, I thought, let me take on one idea to keep my focus on for the year. I was used to putting in the time. So for the year, most people think, I'm going to affirm this for today and I'm going to have it. You know, sometimes you better hold your focus over time. And for me, that affirmation was part of holding my focus over time. Okay? So, one year I'd work on abundance, one year I'd work on light, one year I worked on reaching for Christ consciousness a long time. But one year I started to try to choose which particular spiritual quality I wanted to concentrate on for the year. And I said to myself, I don't want to do just one. I want to cover a bunch of them. So I decided you're allowed to do whatever you want. So this is the affirmation I came up with. I am happy, healthy, wealthy, and wise, powerful to create the life I want. I am open and receptive, ready to receive all the good God has for me. I used that for a year. Now, as happens so often with me, I don't always get immediate results. Sometimes I do. And yet I'll tell you, I look today at what I've got and I'm thinking, yeah, I pretty much got what I affirmed. And maybe saying that so many times was part of what created the consciousness that allowed this to happen. The early Unity Fillmore books all had affirmations at the back of the chapter. The important thing to understand is everyone go, ooh, I have to take this affirmation. And, some of them sound so stilted. But you say, oh no, this is the way Fillmore said it. So I need to use this. And I'm here to say there are no magic words. It isn't better because somebody else said it. But they were there because they were meant to act as guidelines to get you started. If you were working on the spiritual quality in this chapter, affirming this, and this, and change it around, put it in your words, do whatever you want, but create the affirmations to help you keep your focus on this quality until it's exuding right out of you. The important thing on your spiritual path is not to leave these phenomenal ideas that are wrapped up in our affirmations, to not leave them as intellectual concepts, but to keep working with them until the words fall away. And you are literally experiencing what the words were meant to describe. Alter your belief system, and your outer life will follow. But I said there were two levels to affirmation, and I want to talk about the second one. The serious spiritual aspirant will eventually leave programming behind and start using the tool of affirmation as power statements, calling out the pure Christ energies of your eternal being. For me, the prayer of protection is a power statement. But that's because I feel the energies behind the words. It didn't start out that way. Remember last week when I talked about the Lord's Prayer and I said, say it 15 times? If you just say it 15 times, you're never going to be so bored in your life. You have to actually get behind the words and feel the energies that each phrase represents. The first step to understanding how to use a power statement is to realize that life is not a flow of physical experiences as much as it is a flow of invisible spiritual energies that cause physical experiences. You got to begin to translate everything in your life into an interaction of spiritual energies. There is an invisible flow of energies behind everything that we see in the physical world. When you know that, you know that when you are speaking a word of power, you're working on that level. You'll develop a yearning to experience the spiritual energy behind the outer manifestation. Some people say, oh, I just want to be rich. To them, that just means gathering lots of things. But wealth is a state of consciousness. It's a feeling. It's an energy, not a state of things. It's an energy that can create things without a doubt. Fillmore once said that there are two levels of prosperity. Most people use the secondary level. They gather as many things as they can gather together and say, okay, now I'm secure. He says, but all of that can be swept away in a day. And he experienced that a number of times in his life. He said, the real abundance is gathering the inner ideas of abundance, the inner feeling, the energy of living in the midst of God's abundance. And knowing that life can sweep it away in a day and you'll just make it back. It'll just come to you from somewhere else. Because your abundance lies in the energy that draws abundance out of the universe. Not in the fact that you got some physical things around you, which can be swept away. So, you begin to understand that your soul is made up of certain dynamic energies. They are locked right inside of your soul. And the exciting thing in life becomes to call them out. Love, to experience love, not as, oh, someone came and they were nice to me, but as an energy in your heart that absolutely thrills you. Life as an energy that's not dependent on the physical body. Touch it there, the physical body will follow. That's what those who had dramatic healings demonstrated. They touched life. They said, I'm healed. And he said, your body doesn't show it yet. Don't worry, it will. And it did. Or abundance as an energy, not a state of things. These energies cause the physical things you want in your outer life, but they are not restricted to outer life. They pervade all dimensions. So, these are worth calling out. Call out joy and find it doesn't depend on the world being nice to you for you to feel joy. Joy comes out of your soul. Love, until you can feel the energy respond in your heart just by calling the word life. You know, that indestructible stuff that doesn't get sick and doesn't die. Call it out from your soul. That one word becomes your affirmation, your point of focus. But the most important part is after you call, you listen. Joy, can you feel it rising inside of you? Love, can you feel it rising through you? Life, can you feel it underneath the pain? There was a time when I was told that I needed more joy in my life. I paid $100 to learn that. And when he said, you need more joy in your life and I can't do anything for you of that, I thought, please give me my $100 back. Though I didn't actually say it. So I worked on it. And I started affirming joy. Decided, well, let's start with affirmation. My life is filled with joy and love. I gave joy top billing. My life is filled with joy and love. 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 Who am I kidding? I said, I'm not doing something right. And so I started saying, my life is filled with joy. And I'd stop and I'd listen. I'd try to feel that joy rising and love and feel that joy rising. And second or third time I did it, I went, oh my God, I think I felt something just for a millisecond. And then it got longer and longer. I was on this car trip that was 3 hours long, and I did it the whole time. And what's intriguing is, it wasn't boring at all. It became amazingly exciting. With each session, with each statement, I wanted to do it again and experience it stronger. Because when you get beyond the words and you are listening for that feeling to rise inside of you, the energies are amazingly exciting. Okay, where are we? We need to learn to speak the word with power from within out. Speak your affirmations with power from within, not depending on repetition. Now, you can repeat. I did for 3 hours. But each time was its own experience. I wasn't thinking, if I say this enough, my subconscious will finally take it. I was calling to something inside of me to rise. And it was responding. Years ago, probably back about 60 years, May Rowland was the head of Silent Unity. She was the head of Silent Unity for 50 years. She was an amazing woman. And Unity Village is right there outside of Kansas City, right in Tornado Alley. You know, they've got where you can go down to your tornado shelters. They're all there, et cetera, et cetera. And the story goes, and there were a number of witnesses, so I'm thinking it's real, that they said, May, there is a tornado out there coming across the field toward us. And she went outside and she looked. And here was this tornado, this huge tornado, just bearing straight down on them. And she looked at that and she said, In the name and through the power of Jesus Christ, get out of here. And it took a right turn. It immediately left, immediately headed another direction. And everybody looked around and thought, whoa, May, way to go. You can speak the word with power. But they have to come from someplace other than your personality. They've got to come straight out of your soul. Years ago, back in my 30s, had a house with a pool here in Florida and no AC, so you had to jump in the pool to cool off. In either case, one day I find myself standing in front of the pool and I'm thinking about that scripture I read this morning, that one with Jesus stilling the storm. And I was very much trying to follow in Jesus' footsteps. And I thought, I know I am not a master, but I wonder if I can just feel a tiny bit of what it would be like to be the being who could stand in front, raise his arms, and say, peace, be still. And the wind would stop. So I said, okay, I'm just going to try to be Jesus Christ. I know I'm not, but I'm going to try to feel just a little tiny bit of it. And so I imagined myself as this great spiritual being. And I lifted my arms. The wind had been blowing steadily at quite a pace all day long. And I lifted my arms and I said, peace, be still. And the wind stopped dead. Scared the tar out of me. And because it scared me and I moved back out of that consciousness, it then picked up again. But I went, oh my God. If you can touch the center of your being, your soul, that Christ self within, you can speak the word of power. When Jesus said, pray in my name, he also said, it's not all who call Lord, Lord who will make it into the kingdom of heaven. Speaking the words ain't going to do it. He said, it's those who do what I say, who follow in my footsteps. So what did he mean when he said, pray in my name? If you were to tell someone to go do something in your name, if you were to give them what is that legal document that says that you can do, power of attorney, yeah. You would say, go and do this as if you were me. Do it in my name. Pray as if you were me. I stumbled onto that and the wind stopped. Imagine the other places it could affect in your life. So when you pray, merge with Jesus, merge with your inner Christ self, that Christ spirit within you, and then speak your affirmation of truth. And it becomes powerful. Now, normally I give you a bunch of steps, but I kind of feel like I was just giving you steps all the way. So let me just condense it into 4 very quick points. Use affirmation repeatedly on a daily basis that will help you create a new belief system that you want to live with so you can bring good things out of good treasure, right? Number 2, learn to speak your affirmations with power by merging with Jesus Christ and standing at the center of your Christ self in order to call the spiritual energies of your soul into outer life. Number 3, awaken the pure Christ energies of your soul by calling to them love, joy, life, harmony, until you can feel them flood your being. And number 4, begin to see life as a flow of spiritual energies that cause the flow of outer experience. Translate everything you face into a spiritual energy in order to function as a spiritual being, not just as a human one. So, wrap it up and end it. The greatest use of the spiritual quality of will is on yourself. Use affirmations to rewrite your negative beliefs in your life and your will to use those affirmations until you begin to bring out good things from good treasures, from the treasure within you. Then use affirmation on a deeper level to call forth the divine energies of your eternal soul into experience in your outer life. Eventually, we will all know what Jesus meant when he said, "He who believes in me shall do the works which I do, and even greater than these things shall he do." So let's close our eyes for a moment. Take a deep breath and sigh it out. We move into our hearts. And there we know God is in charge of my life, and in spite of appearances, all is well. God is in charge of my life. And in spite of appearances, all is well. God is my source. And I am always provided for. I am alive with the life of God, and I feel good all over. My whole life is in divine order. Things always work out for me, whether I've realized it or not. I live a charmed life. Feel these ideas weaving themselves through your whole subconscious, through the whole basic attitude that you have toward life. And realize with me, I am happy, healthy, wealthy, and wise, powerful to create the life I want. I am open and receptive, ready to receive all the good God has for me. Love, call it out of your heart. Joy, let it rise through you. The light of life, feel it permeating you. Harmony. I am in harmony. Now merge with Jesus Christ, our teacher. And together as one, affirm. I am the light of the world. For if I be lifted up, will draw all men to me. Father, thy will be done through our lives. That we are here for something much more than just serving ourselves. We're here to serve thy divine will. Thy will be done through each of us. Amen. With that, I'll invite the usher forward and we'll prepare for our offering. If you're at home, you need to know your offerings help to keep us going. You're very much a part of this church, and you function as a part by, well, here's the way you can give your offering. You can, at the end of service, go to the home page of our website and hit the Donate Now button and use a credit card or PayPal. You can pull off our address and mail us a check. You can use Zelle, something that is beyond me but may not be beyond you. And when you use Zelle, you'll need to use our email address, unityorlando@gmail.com. Or if you're still confused, call Linda. She'll sort it all out for you. She works wonders. Let's hold our offering in our hands. Let's affirm together. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all the good I am and have, all the good I give and receive. Amen. You're on.
I look around and see your smiling faces, big sound. I hear you singing now in this place. I feel your shining grace in this place. We can feel it now. We're moving energy and learning how to live in harmony in this town. We always shine our light in this town. In this town, we always shine brighter in this town. With your grace, we always shine brighter in this place. Illuminating guidance, divine order deep inside us. Light will surely find us right here in this town. We get together, and sometimes we're apart forever. We love who we are together. We bring love through our heart wherever. We can feel it now. We're moving energy and learning how to live in harmony in this town. We always shine our light in this town. In this town, we always shine brighter in this town. With your grace, we always shine brighter in this place. Illuminating guidance, divine order deep inside us. Light will surely find us right here in this town. We can feel it now. We're moving energy and learning how to live in harmony in this town. We always shine our light in this town. In this town, we always shine brighter in this town. With your grace, we always shine brighter in this place. Illuminating guidance, divine order deep inside us. Light will surely find us right here in this town. In this town, we always shine brighter in this town. With your grace, we always shine brighter in this place. Illuminating guidance, divine order deep inside us. Light will surely find us right here in this town. Love will find us in this town. Love will guide us in this town. Love will find us in this town.
Go, it's on. That was stupendous. That was perfect for the end of this service. And you got to know, since I'm the one speaking, I'd prefer to listen to you than to listen to me. And you provide the high point in service for me. Thank you. And thank you. Thank you all who are out there listening, all who are sitting right here. Thank you for being Unity Orlando. What have I got? Next Sunday, my topic will be the solution, not the problem. Let's all rise and close off. We close off by, we're going to join together in filling the world with that power statement, the prayer of protection, together. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. God bless you all. Have a wonderful